all other sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. May all other sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Tagla Dangwar Je Pedra, Nirpar Je Pegeg, Tarpa Dang Tam Che Kin Pe Bardu Turpar Je Pa, Tam Che Kiso Je Pe, Manam Ka Dang Yam Pe Sim Chin Tam Che Dewa Dang Den, Dug Nyal Dang Drel Nir Du La Na Me Pa, Yang Dakpar Zokpe Changchu Brimpoche Taparja. Thus until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Dechedu sangma ge ke bardu luna gi sunge wala ko. Mashe bardu luna gi sunge wala ko. Do dering ne sung te nima sangdam. Samge bardu luna gi sunge wala ko. We take refuge in the kind, root, and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind, root, and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Drenchen Sawa Dangyu Parche Paldin Lama Dampa Namla Kyapsu Chio Yedam Kilkor Gela Shog Namla Kyapsu Chio Sangye Chumdin De Namla Kyapsu Chio Dampe Namla Kyapsu Chio Pakpe Gindun Namla Kyapsu Chio Pao Kandro Kyung Sung Ming Sho Geshe Ki Chindab Dinpa Namla Kyapsu Chio. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Changchub Ningpor Chike Bahar Sangye Namla Kyapsu Chi Cherdang Jangchub Simpayi Shoglayang Deshin Kyapsu Chi Chitar Nonge Deshe Ki Jangchu Tugni Ke Padang Changchup Simpe La Pala, Data Grimshin Nepatar, Desendro La Pindondu, Changchup Simni Keki Sing, Desendu Ni La Pala, Rimpa Zindu La Parchi. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chudang soki chognama, changchu baju dagni kyapsuchi, dagi jinso kepe sonam ki, drola pinchir sangye druparsho. May all other sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all other sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadangyam pesim chen, tam che dewa dang dewe gyudang den par gyurche. Dugnal dang dugnal gigu dang drawar gyurche. Dugnal me pe dewa dang mi drawar gyurche. Nering chak dang ni dang drawe tangyam la ne par gyurche.
Page 8 and 9, please.
Okay. Om Vajrasattva Samaya, help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me, grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me, be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind, heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys. O blessed one who embodies the essence within me, do not abandon me. Grant me the realizations of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you, thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinopatishta Trido Mebhava Sutokayo Mebhava Supokayo Mebhava Anarekto Mebhava Sarva Siddhi Me Priyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Siddham Shrayam Kuru Ha 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 Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Munsa Vajribhava Mahasamaya Sato. Again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinopa Tishta Drido Mebhava Sutokayo Mebhava Supokayo Mebhava Anarekto Mebhava Sarva Siddhi Me Priyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Siddham Shrayam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Munsa Vajribhava Mahasamaya Sato. 7 in prayer?
Not necessary. Not necessary.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Now let's turn to page 12 and the cigar mati cigar mati requested sutra. Okay, so we'll just recite this in English and we can all do it together one time in English. So this is to prepare us, to have a teaching. Likewise be extinguished all enemies to my purpose. Whatever evil forces in or within me, be defeated. Do this so that when I am victorious, all pure radiance melts into me, completely purified. Take all this knowledge, food and drink peacefully. Enjoy it and be satisfied so that all obstacles may be destroyed. Be liberated from all obstacles, all general obstacles. Maras are defeated by this gesture of the Buddha. By reciting this mantra, may all the Maras be purified. As a result, may all the Maras be defeated. Thank you. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about the Heart Sutra. So I'm definitely not a scholar and not a scholar on the Heart Sutra per se. So if whatever you all have to add to this, please speak right up. And because I know that you've studied this before. And so if you have any insight or you have any knowledge of the history of the Heart Sutra, please share it with us. So as a matter of fact, if everybody can turn on their microphones just to make it easy, and if we don't get any feedback, that'll be great. Okay. So the Heart Sutra to me is fairly explanatory as it goes along, but like I said, there is a history to it, which I may not know. So you can add that if you care to. So it starts off, the Heart Sutra, it starts off beyond words, beyond description, prajna paramita. So the prajna paramita, prajna is the absolute wisdom, unspeakable wisdom. And the paramita is the perfection. So it's the wisdom perfection. The unborn, unceasing, very essence of space. So how could you find any words to explain space? So prajna paramita comes from that awareness. Yet it can be experienced as the wisdom of our own awareness. So through our practices, through our meditations, that we can have that transcendence of the experience of that awareness, of that wisdom awareness. So this is the invitation to, and the practice to help us to facilitate that, to open up the door to the transcendence for us, to allow us to move into that spacious mindfulness. So it says, homage to the mother of the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. So of course that would be Tara. So now in Sanskrit, the title is the Bhagavati Prajna Paramita Hridaya. So the Bhagavati means the great learned ones, the great sages. And the Prajna I already said is that unborn wisdom. And the Prajna, the Paramita is the perfection. And the Hridaya would be the one who, this is the primal cause. This is the primal cause that we recognize within ourselves. So in Tibetan, it's Chomden Dema Sherab Ki Parolutu Chinpa Nyingpo. And in English, it's the Heart Sutra. Okay. So then we carry on. And so now the homage to the essence of the transcendental knowledge, the Bhagavati. So this transcendental knowledge, the Bhagavati, the sage who takes us there. So this would be the Buddha Shakyamuni. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of monks and bodhisattvas. So this Vulture Peak Mountain was a favorite place of the Buddha to go and to give teachings. And it overlooks this whole valley. It's in this mountainous range there, and it's there's some other mountains that are a little bit higher than this, and there's like this peak that comes out, this triangular peak, and it's not very big. I've seen pictures of it. I haven't been there myself, but I've seen pictures of it, and I don't think you can get more than 50 people to be actually there, and maybe that even might be pressing. Has anybody been there? Can anybody speak to that?
I've seen pictures, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a thrilling overlook and so on. This Vulture's Peak, and so the Buddha would give many great teachings there, and so this was one. The royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of monks and bodhisattvas. So, talking about the bodhisattvas, that would mean that these are spiritual meditational deities that are there, that are all in between and so on, and not necessarily having a form body, you know, but they are present, you know, the presence of those bodhisattvas. So at that time, the Blessed One, speaking about Buddha Shakyamuni, entered the samadhi, which examines the dharmas, called the profound illumination. So this is the Buddha Shakyamuni goes into this samadhi, this very deep samadhi, and called the profound illumination, the profound, like the enlightenment or the illumination, the luminance, the radiance. So he's in a transcendent state of mind. And at the same time, then noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendental knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. So my take on this in what I've heard is that Buddha Shakyamuni was more or less channeling the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, who is the great holy being, so Mahasattva is the great holy being, Bodhisattva is the enlightened holy being. Looking at the profound practice of this transcendent knowledge, is how to get there, what the procedure is, what it all means, what the ordinary beings are, what the illusory body of the pure illusory body, and what the impure illusory body is. And saw the five skandhas of the compounds of the impure illusory body, of the human beings, of ordinary beings, and their natural emptiness. So recognizing this dependent origination, this realization of samsara and so on, all has this natural emptiness that is the phenomenal nature. So then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva. So Shariputra was one of the Buddha's two main disciples. And so he was always one to ask questions and so on. And I believe his other one, I don't pronounce his name very well, maybe somebody can say it for me, but Molangama was his other, and he was more mystical. And Shariputra was more academic. So the two going together was always very, very, fortunate, very auspicious to be the two main disciples of the Buddha Shakyamuni. So Shariputra asked this question: how should those noble men and women learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge. So this is what he said. So he's asking, well, how do ordinary people, men and women, how do they get to practice this transcendent knowledge? What is the method? How do we do this? So it's a very simple question. And so then, noble Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva Mahasattva, answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. So again, remember that the Buddha Shakyamuni is there, but he's channeling Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara is the Bodhisattva of compassion. So it was very natural for Avalokiteshvara to be giving this kind of a teaching. This is a very compassionate teaching. You know, how do we do the practice? What is the method to do this? So this is the compassion of the wisdom. So it's very, very natural for this to happen. So then he says, Shariputra, those noble men and women who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. So he's saying this is the way we look at it, the five skandhas. So is everybody familiar with the five skandhas? Do you know what the five skandhas are? Does anybody not know what the five skandhas are? Okay, so everybody's familiar with that.
Is it the elements, Lance?
No.
Okay, I don't know then.
Okay, so the first is form or body. So that we all have this form, we all have this body. So first is form. Then comes feeling, that we have these realizations, we have these senses that are out there, and these feelings are coming into us. They're reporting to our brain more or less. And then is perception, that we begin to process these things into ideas that we process as sensations and contact, that we're having contact with ourselves and with other beings. And, you know, infants and everything, they're all playing with themselves and so on, and they're very touchy-feely and so on. So they're bringing, so they're assembling all this knowledge, they're bringing all these contact points into their lives and so on. And then, make sure I get this right. Uh-oh. There we go. The feeling, sensation, the perceptions, then the mental formations come, where all the sensory mechanisms that we have, our eyes, our ears, our taste, our nose, our hearing, and our touch, all reporting into the brain, and the brain is processing it as mental formations and then projecting itself onto everything it sees as what this all is. So it's coming in saying, oh, this is what I am, and then it projects it out to all other things. So then comes the consciousness. So the consciousness is being able to be able to think about this, to be able to process the information, and to be able to make assertions. So these are what's called the five skandhas, Skandas. Another word, it's a Sanskrit word, another word would be the aggregates or the heaps. So these are the compounds of what it is to be a sentient being. So in particular, a human being, because we have the consciousness to be able to process this, unlike the other sentient beings may not be able to. So these are the five skandhas. So it's important for us to recognize that. So it says like this, the five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. So what that means is that each one of these things are compounds of other things. And none of it is completely innate. They are all compounds of other things. So our form, for instance, it may seem to be permanent to us. We look at our hand, we look at our body, we look at somebody else's body and so on, and it appears to be permanent to us. But if we can look through it and then we see the different tissues below the skin and we see the different bones below the skin, and then we can see the different molecules that make all that, and then we can see the atomic structure that makes the molecules, and then we can look in between the atoms and see the atomic particles and so on like that. And then we can also recognize the space that is all around that. So that's what we're trying to understand, is that relationship and be able to get to and abide within the space. So, but all this, so we see this all as this natural emptiness, that all these different elements, the senses that we have, they're all compounds of different things. Our hearing is different things that make up sound, and our being able to recognize it through the three bones that are in our ear pressing against the tympanic nerve and so on, and creates sound, and sound comes from waves that are beating against the air that's all around us, and we hear that. And our eyes are just being able to interpret the appearances of light and the way the light all comes together and so on. So all these things are empty of their own true nature, and they're all part of the compounded nature of the skandhas. So it should be seen clearly in their pure emptiness. So part of our meditation, if we haven't already recognized that, is to be able to get to that elementary, to be able to get to that emptiness awareness, to be able to allow our physical body to just melt into our intellectual body, and our intellectual body melting into our spiritual body. So a key element in doing that is letting go of the physical body, letting go of the intellectual body, because those are the two things that are associated with the form body that's holding us back from being able to recognize the spiritual body, which is invisible to us. So by nature, it already is emptiness, or it could be qualified as being empty of any true nature that we can recognize. So this natural emptiness. So I'll just mention here at this point that the Heart Sutra is a key prayer in the Mahayana tradition, in the Mahayana teachings, the second turning of the wheel of the Buddha, because it's in the Mahayana that this idea of emptiness is introduced. In the Hinayana, it's not discussed. It's not present. But in the Mahayana, then it's introduced. So now this is the time when we have to come to recognize this. So this is all part of the Prajna Paramita trainings, the perfection trainings of recognizing emptiness. So it's all intertwined with each other. So now we come to this part here where it says, form is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, concept, and consciousness are emptiness. So what this is saying is that all phenomenal nature, all this temporary stuff that we live in, that we see and everything, is all empty of its own true nature. It doesn't really exist. And for us to be able to recognize that is a transcendent realization and has to be experienced. My just saying it vicariously lands on your ears and you process that. But what does it really mean to you is just some vicarious thing that you're making all these associations with. But it doesn't become something that you can recognize until you have the experience of emptiness. And then you see yourself, your form, as empty. And then it says that you see yourself, your feelings as empty, your perception is empty, your concepts is empty, and your consciousness is empty. So to help us with this prayer, I took the liberty of adding a little stanza for each one of the five skandhas, because in the prayer it doesn't normally, it's not translated that way. But it helps me, and I like to be able to share that with others to help them to be mindful of the meaning of this, because it's so subtle and so important. So we say feeling is emptiness. Emptiness itself is feeling. Emptiness is no other than feeling. Feeling is no other than emptiness. And perception is emptiness. Emptiness itself is perception. Perception is no other than, emptiness is no other than perception. Perception is no other than emptiness. Concept is emptiness. Emptiness itself is concept. Emptiness is no other than concept. Concept is no other than emptiness. Consciousness is emptiness. Emptiness itself is consciousness. Emptiness is no other than consciousness. Consciousness is no other than emptiness. So it's so subtle. And it looks like, it's this conundrum that we have, well, what is it? What is, I thought all this exists, you mean all this doesn't exist. So again, it needs to be experienced. And this prayer, this Heart Sutra, is a guide to get us to launch through the threshold of that transcendence to emptiness. So then, in the next stanza, it says, thus, Shariputra, all dharmas are emptiness and have no characteristics. So dharmas, remember, lowercase d dharmas are pathways. So there's many, many, many pathways. And when we refer to the Buddha Dharma, we're referring to a capital D Dharma. So this is looking at dharmas as a pathway of intellectualization of what we think the skandhas are, what we think we are, what we think phenomenal nature is. So all dharmas are emptiness. So all these different things, they're empty. All these concepts are empty. Remember, the absolute truth is non-conceptual. So pure, it hasn't been born. It hasn't been conceptualized. So everything that we think of, just by the fact that we thought of it, becomes a fabrication, a confusion, a misconception. So that's a very critical point. Yes, sir.
The moment you have to explain it or use words to explain it, it's wrong.
To yourself, even.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
That's right.
For us to conceive it through any type of ways of humanly ways.
So that's why we say it's experiential. You have to experience it. And there's no way to be able to express it once you experience it. Mm-hmm. So the example of this was Buddha Shakyamuni, when he attained enlightenment, if you remember the story, and that night he sat under the tree and he went through and overcame the three demons that came up, that were the emotions that he had of ignorance, the emotion of desire, and the emotion of hatred, and he was able to overcome them. And then he went into that experience of emptiness and transcendence and so on. And then when he came out of it, or he never came out of it really, but he said, how can I explain this? Who would understand this? And his 5 disciples, his 5 friends at that time, came to him and said, Buddha, now they recognize him as Buddha. Please tell us, what was it? How did we do it? How did we do it? And for 49 days, he couldn't talk. He couldn't say what it was. And he was, thinking to, I guess part of the time he was thinking, well, how can I explain this? And part of the time he was just in bliss, because he never really came out of it. But slowly, at the end of the 49 days, then he taught the 4 noble truths, which then he said, I'm going to teach you how I recognize this. That's the only thing I can do. I can't tell you what enlightenment is. I can only teach you how I got there. And then it's up to you to choose to follow it or not. So, thus, Pariputra, all dharmas are emptiness and have no characteristics. So remember, Avalokiteshvara is saying this through Buddha Shakyamuni. So he's like channeling this. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no concept, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no dharmas. There is no quality of sight, and so on until no quality of thought and no quality of mind consciousness. He's describing blowing your mind. There is no ignorance and no wearing out of ignorance, and so on until no old age and death, nor their wearing out. In the same way, there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. So what it's saying that all this stuff, including the Buddha Dharma, doesn't exist. And this becomes a shocking realization, maybe the first time you hear it, but there's ripples of it every time you get to that point, and you think, wow, all this that I think is permanent, all this that I think, all this knowledge, all this time that I've been spending doing all this stuff, bringing all this stuff in, only for me to let it go. So therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment for the bodhisattvas, they abide by means of transcendental knowledge. Hi, Gary, how are you? So we're on page 15 in our 101 prayer book. I'm sorry you missed the beginning of this, but we're going to go back and repeat the prayer. And if you have questions, I can try and answer them for you later on. But we're on page 15 at the second to last stanza. So therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment for the bodhisattvas, they abide by means of transcendental knowledge. So what that means is they're beyond our comprehension as human beings, us as human beings. It's beyond our everyday comprehension. We don't understand what it is that they are. It has to be experienced. And that's why we say we get a glimpse. We get glimpses of that through our practices. We get a glimpse of that point of view of the Bodhisattva. We get a glimpse of the point of view of the Buddha. But, it can be gone as fast as it comes. But just as this is not even a second, in some worlds, that could be an eternity. And when we begin to recognize time doesn't exist, and all time is here present now, then that becomes a very long time. And the same with place. We say that this place, but this place is omnipresent with all place. There is no place. It's all the same. And just as time dissolves, place dissolves. So they abide by transcendental knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. So since there is no obscurity of mind, the mind is perfectly clear. We've reached the clear light. We've gone beyond all the other appearances, all the other ideas, all the other concepts, all the other layers of light, of just pure red light, of pure green light, of pure white light, of pure blue light. And so all that is all transcended, and we come to the clear light, the pristine cognition, primordial awareness. The prajna paramita. And there is no obscurity of mind now. It's completely clear. They have no fear. Fear is just a concept. They transcend falsity. Falsity is just a concept. And pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. Sorrow is just another concept. So then the last stanza on the page is, all the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment by means of transcendental knowledge. So all the Buddhas who dwell in the past, in the present, in the future, simultaneously. There's no differentiation. It's all the same. Equanimity. Complete enlightenment by means of transcendental knowledge, prajna paramita, the perfection of the prajna, perfection of the prajna. The prajna is the knowledge, is the wisdom. So then we go to the next page. Therefore, the mantra of transcendental knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth. For there is no deception. The mantra of transcendental knowledge is proclaimed, Teata, Om, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Buddhi, Soha. So this is the mantra. This is the mantra of the Heart Sutra. And this is the mantra, if you want to blast off, this is the mantra. So it says the mantra of transcendental knowledge, the mantra of deep insight. So deep insight, remember, insight meditation is vipassana. So sham abiding meditation, we approach this with calm abiding. We will have already gone through all those stages already. We have already gone through vipassana as it relates to deity yoga and to all the other things that we have learned in the stages of meditation, the generation stage, the completion stage, all that. Now we are getting to the point of really going beyond that. You know, the deity has helped us to stabilize our divine pride, our deity pride, our recognition of ourselves as the Buddha. Now it's time to have the mind of the Buddha. So if those other practices haven't created or allowed the threshold for us to cross through that, then this does. So the deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, there's no greater mantra than this. The mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth. So truth and suffering, you know, are concepts. You know, we're in a conceptual way here. We're still thinking about that, but it takes us beyond that. And remember, the definition of a mantra is a mind protection. That's the definition of mantra in Sanskrit, a mind protection. So as we are doing the mantra, if we're doing it properly, all our physical energy, all our intellectual energy is all focused and comes together with our spiritual energy. And now our spiritual is just wide open. Our heart, figuratively, is wide open. So there's no deception. This is that explanation, you know, articulation. This is the simile for what that experience is. The mantra of transcendental knowledge is proclaimed to be Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate. So Teata means this is it. This is it. We say this with Medicine Buddha. We say this with many of the other practices that we do, many of the other mantras that we do. This is it. Om. This is the enlightened body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, of awareness, of the primal cause. Gate means gone. Very simple. It just means gone. Gate just means gone. Gate repeated again means, yeah, really gone. I'm not fooling around. And it says paragate. It says, yes, really, really gone. If you didn't get it the first time or the second time, now you can get it again. Paragate. Then parasamgate, that this is it beyond all things. Let me just look one thing up real quick. Whoops. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, gone, really gone to, you know, beyond everything that you know. Gone beyond. Gone beyond. And then Buddhi means enlightenment. And Soha means may it be, so be it, may it be accomplished. So it's a very simple mantra. Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate. So we're going to recite this. We're going to come back and we're going to recite the whole thing together. And then we're going to do mile around of this practice, of this mantra. So now we go back to the text here, and it says, Parishucha, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn the profound transcendent knowledge. So this is Avalokiteshvara saying, okay, I've explained it to you now, and this is how it's done. It's up to you. Then the Blessed One, the Buddha Shakyamuni, arose from that samadhi and praised the noble Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well done, well done. Noble son, it is so, it is just so. Profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and all the Tathagatas will rejoice. So, whether this was a channeling of Avalokiteshvara through the body of the Buddha Shakyamuni, or this was something that through his samadhi, he was able to summon this teaching that came to all the beings who were there through the heart transmission without a word being uttered. In either case, it's still very profound for us to be able to experience ourselves. We can have doubt about it, perfectly natural to have doubt, but it behooves us to test it, to see, does it work? So whether it comes through the channeling through the voice, or it comes through the channeling through the heart transmission, we want it to come to the heart transmission anyway, right? So that's where it needs to happen. So when the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra and the noble Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering, and the world with its gods, mens, asuras, and Gandharvas rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. So now Shariputra recognizes, wow, this is, did you feel the earth move? So with its gods, its mens, the asuras are the demigods, the titans. And the Gandharvas are these kings, the great worldly kings, and rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. They all said, wow, this is terrific, and thank you. So thus ends the Mahayana Sutra, called the Bhagavati, Essence of Transcendent Knowledge. And that's the practice. So anybody have any questions or comments, elaborations on what we said?
Lance, I have a question.
Okay.
Could you tell me again what Teata Omgati means? I think I got the rest of it, but not that.
Teata is, this is it. Very simple. That's what the word means. Teata, this is it. Om is the Om Ahom. And Om Ahom is the enlightened body, speech, and mind of the deity, of the essence of the Buddha that is within us all. So this Om is the body, speech, and mind, the essence of this mantra. And Gate means gone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So you can write it down so you don't forget.
I will.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Because next we're going to do the practice.
Lance, every time I touch this, in your words, it blows my mind. And it's supposed to, this among, at least in my experience, among any of the sutras I've been exposed to, can take novices like myself as close to the edge as you can get to sort of leaning towards emptiness, leaning towards a momentary glimpse of emptiness, because it's so truthful and severe and straightforward. There's no bullshitting around here. It's gati, yeah. It's very gate, definitely super gate, so it is really powerful. And in Jodo Shinshu, this was a core practice for a lot of holidays, to and it was practiced during holidays to get Sangha centered and humble. So it's a very humbling, it's a very humbling teaching.
How was it taught and how was it recognized in that environment?
It's recognized as one of the top tier sutras because the Jodo Shinshu is strict mainstream Mahayana. So it's considered a Pure Land related sutra. It's right there with the Pure Land Sutra as the pair of truth telling sutras, as the pair of teachings that the Jodo Shinshu adherent would keep in mind, would be mindful of as they walk through daily life. So thank you. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, Lance, this teaching is something that the Tego order has done every time that you are with other practitioners. Every week, every day, you chant this. Gone, gone, finally gone to the other shore. And when they chant this, and you realize and you experience what it means, you are almost awakened. You are almost there. That's how powerful this sutra is in the Mahayana one. And like Mike said, it's something that's held very, very dear to all practitioners in the Mahayana order. And this is a sutra that you memorize, and the mantra is just repeated thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times until you really experience it. Once you do, you're there. You are there. Very powerful.
In the temples that you guys went to, was it taught in the English language or was it only taught in the language of the temple?
I learned it in Chinese.
Yeah.
And also,
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, it was chanted both in English and in the kanji, which is the sort of the old Chinese with the Japanese layered on top. Yeah.
So was the meaning basically the same as this translation?
Absolutely.
So Tom, when did you recognize? When did you learn the meaning of the Chinese that you were chanting?
Oh, I mean, since I speak Korean fluently, the meanings are translated, and like I said, this is something that you do daily. This is something you do every moment of the day when you're not doing whatever you're doing. If you have a moment, this is something that you chant. This is something that you live.
Is this something you're encouraged to do as a private practice?
Oh yes. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, this is something that's as simple as it. What, 2 pages, 3 pages. That everything that all most of Buddha's teachings are all here, right here, in these couple of pages. This exactly. So yeah, we lived it, every single day, and when you see, you see me wearing that tiny little wooden mala, and that's the Heart Sutra is written in Chinese on that, and anytime you get a chance, you take it off, you just start rolling it, and you start Tayata, Om Gate Parasum Gate Bodhisvaha. Repeating. And one day, hopefully one day, you'll get it.
Catch a glimpse.
That's all it takes.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have a comment or a question? Adrian, we're on page 14 in the 101 books.
Got it.
So we just went through and explained the Heart Sutra, so we can catch up another time with it. Gary came in partway through it as well, so but now it's time to do the practice. So most of it is very clear. The language of this is very clear. The imagery of this is very clear, although it may need a little bit of tweaking to get in between the words and the meaning and the sentences and so on, so to speak.
Yeah, sorry I missed that. I thought we canceled tonight, and I was doing some medicine Buddha for William.
Oh, well, sorry that you got that mixed up. Okay. But good that you were doing for William. That's good. Okay, so now we begin, and the way I've learned to begin is we start right at the very beginning where the homage is done and the titles are done is the way that it's practiced. So so we're going to do it all in the English, and if anybody wants to do it in the Tibetan, I didn't put the Tibetan in this book. Okay, it does appear in other books, but not in this one. Okay, so page 14, we'll recite together out loud, and then we will do the mantra several times. So hopefully this will be self-explanatory to everybody. Heart Sutra. Beyond words, beyond description, Prajnaparamita. Unborn, unceasing, the very essence of space. Yet it can be experienced as the wisdom of our own awareness. Homage to the mother of the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. In Sanskrit, Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hridaya. In Tibetan, Chomden Dema Sherabgi Parol tu Chimpe Nimpo. In English, the Heart Sutra. Homage to the essence of the transcendental knowledge, the Bhagavati. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the dharmas called profound illumination. And at that same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokiteshvara, noble Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should those noble men and women learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? Thus he spoke. And noble Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those noble men and women who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. The 5 skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, concept, and consciousness are emptiness. Feeling is emptiness. Emptiness itself is feeling. Emptiness is no other than feeling. Feeling is no other than emptiness. Perception is emptiness. Emptiness itself is perception. Emptiness is no other than perception. Perception is no other than emptiness. Concept is emptiness. Emptiness itself is concept. Emptiness is no other than concept. Concept is no other than emptiness. Consciousness is emptiness. Emptiness itself is consciousness. Emptiness is no other than consciousness. Consciousness is no other than emptiness. Thus, Shariputra, all dharmas are emptiness and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or impure. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no concept, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no dharmas. There is no quality of sight, and so on until no quality of thought and no quality of mind consciousness. There is no ignorance and no wearing out of ignorance, and so on until no old age and death, nor their wearing out. In the same way, there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment for the bodhisattvas, they abide by means of transcendental knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment by means of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, the mantra of transcendental knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering shall be known as truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of transcendental knowledge is proclaimed, Teata, Om, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Buddhi, Soha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva should learn the profound transcendent knowledge. The meaning of the mantra is Teata, this is it. Om, the enlightened body, speech, and mind. Gate means gone. Gate means really gone. Paragate means really, really gone. Parasamgate means gone all beyond. Buddhi means enlightenment. Soha means so be it. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn the profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the noble bodhisattva mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well done, noble son. It is so, it is just so. Profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and all the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra and the noble Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering and the world with its gods, men, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Thus ends the Mahayana Sutra called the Bhagavati Essence of Transcendent Knowledge. Now, if you have your beads, Teata, Om, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Buddhi, Soha. 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 Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Teyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Buddhi Soha. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Som Sapara Gate Som Ahum. Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Saham. Om Deyata Om Deyata Gate Gate Para Samogate Soha. Theata Om Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhi 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 Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam Gade Bari Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam Gade Bari Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam Gade Bari Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam Gade Bari Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam Gade Bari Soha. Deyata Om Gade Gade Ba Sam. Dedong gadi gadi ba sam gadi bari so. 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 Dedong gadi gadi ba gadi so. Dedong gadi gadi ba sam gadi bari 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 so. Dedong gadi gadi ba sam gadi. Dedong gadi gadi ba sam gadi bari bari so. Dedong gadi gadi ba sam gadi 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 bari so. Te dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo te dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo ade dom gadi gadi berzam de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi bari barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi berzam gadi bari barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam gadi barizo de dom gadi gadi bar gadi berzam Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Barzam Gadi Barzam Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Bar Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhi Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Bar Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhi Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Bar Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhi Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Bar Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhizo Ade Dom Gadi Gadi Bar Gadi Barzam Gadi Buddhizo Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parame Gate Hong Soha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. Continue to recite and go into a mantra, go into a meditation. Your mind begins to wander, bring it back to the mantra. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Buddhi Soha. We'll continue our meditation. 15 minutes. Priyata, Om, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasam Gate, Buddhi, Soha. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale. One more deep breath. Exhale. Open your eyes. Go to the next page, number 17. We read out loud together. Namo. Homage to the Lama. Homage to the Buddhas. Homage to the Dharma. Homage to the Sangha. Homage to the Great Mother, transcendent knowledge. May all my words be accomplished. Just as formerly Indra, Lord of the gods, contemplating the profound meaning of transcendent knowledge, recited these words, and by that turned back all evil and other disagreeable elements. May I too, by contemplating the profound meaning of transcendent knowledge and reciting the words, make all evil and all other disagreeable elements turn back. May they be destroyed. May they be calmed. May they be totally calmed. Whatever is interdependent, arising from connection, is without cessation and without birth, without end and without permanence, without coming and without going, without division and without unity of meaning. All conditions fully released, teaching release. I bow to the sacred words of the perfect Buddha. May there be good fortune. Sarva Mangalam. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. So that's the Heart Sutra practice.
And Lance, usually at the end of that practice, we would say, Anyuktara Samyak Sambodhi. May
Okay.
you all attain the ultimate Buddhahood.
Beautiful.
That was wonderful.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, everybody is properly liberated then?
Totally spaced out,
A little spaced out? Good.
out in space.
Okay. All right. Omze, Amanda will do the dedication prayers, please. Page 18, 19, and we can go right through and go to page 22 would be much appreciated.
Okay, all right, thank you, Lance. Dorje Ching, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma, Lord Gampopa, Pagmodrupa, Lord Trikungpa. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessings of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trikongpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind-hearted and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yedams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate root of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara or rebirth as a Shravaka or Praktika Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such in the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Very good. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful practice, Lance.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you.
Teacher.
Okay, so next week we'll do the prayer to Kundu Zangpo.